Think about your favorite MMO. Now, think about its greatest story. Chances are, it wasn't a quest. It wasn't even an expansion or a cinematic. It was probably something the community created together. A guild war, a server-wide event, a mystery solved on Discord, a meme that somehow became canon. Somewhere along the way, storytelling changed. Today, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss about how players stop being visitors in their virtual worlds and become some of the people writing that world's history. Right after this.
You are listening to Raw and Nerdy.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Raw and Nerdy. I'm your host, Rook, and I'm joined by the wonderful Miss Rabbit.
Hey guys.
We're off and on. We're trying to stay within a 2-week window of doing our recordings. Unfortunately, time constraints with me working 14-hour shifts and her being a mama has made it a little bit difficult at times, and we're still waiting for Archon to get back into the swing of things after the summer's over and all that. So hopefully he'll be back with us here soon. I just don't know when soon is. But so how have you been? It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has. It's crazy. I've been diving into some old favorites. Like when we last spoke, I was talking about Conan Exiles. I just had to jump in that again. I'm having so much fun with it. Yeah, it's fun to dive back into those again.
Yeah, I have a buddy on chat, not chat, but on Discord, and he's asking me when I'm gonna jump into what's that game we were talking about again? Yeah, War Makaido was sitting here asking me if I've jumped into Sons of the Forest yet, and I still need to get that game downloaded so I can join him and play. Because it does look interesting, to be honest. I really got to play it.
It's fun. That game really freaked me out. There's not a lot of games that give me like a good scare anymore, but oh my gosh, like there were a couple times where I literally screamed and I didn't realize how freaked out I was going to be. But oh my gosh, not very many games do that to me and have that freak out effect. And so I was really enjoying that one. You're going to have a great time. You got to let me join in once
Of
in a while
course.
if you do get to play.
Of course. I'll also be, when he comes back, me and Archon will be discussing EverQuest Legends. It's kind of interesting. The problem with the game is it's still in the graphic style of the original EverQuest game. So,
Wow.
yeah, but they did some changes to it. It's fun to play. It's just dated on the graphics. Yeah. I've also jumped into, last time we talked, I said I was playing Halo Campaign Evolved. Well, I threw that to the wayside and jumped into Halo Infinite's campaign because it's one of the few I haven't played yet. So,
Oh,
I did
nice.
4 hours of streaming today, the day of recording.
Good job. That's awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, I only got 10 viewers. So if you want to watch me stream, I try streaming Saturdays and Sundays.
Hey, that's actually pretty good. I would usually get, a handful.
Yeah, it's a fun game, and it's quite honestly different than what I'm used to with Halo. Because Halo's normally a linear progression story. This one's more open world. So it's not bad. But we'll see how the story continues as I play.
Heck yeah, that sounds fun. Can't wait
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch.
So, anything else going on with you in the nerd world?
See, it's been It's been mostly just Conan Exile since we last spoke, and a little bit of Icarus, and a little bit of State of Decay 2. I'm still waiting for State of Decay 3. They've been like announcing its release date, like with saying we're going to announce a release date, but they just don't. And I'm like sitting here for years waiting on it.
But
have,
yeah, that's
have you
what it
ever
normally
played
does.
those ones? Any of
I've
like one,
I've
two?
seen it played. It's just not my cup of tea.
Oh, man, I have so much fun on that game. It's like the most relaxing zombie game I've ever played. Like I don't know how else to describe it, but I can spend just hours looting an abandoned town, and
Mhm.
that gives me like so much zen. I can't even explain it, but it's like
Nice.
waiting for a world, a zombie apocalypse world, and that'll be my cup of tea.
Nice. Oh, at least you're getting some gaming in between being a mom and taking care of the kids. You're fitting your nerdy gaming in there somewhere at least.
Yeah, sometimes it's like um a lot of I have the screen on and I got my characters standing there.
Mhm.
And, like, when I don't have hands, like, I got both the kids, got 2 little ones and a teenager. But, when I've got, like, the 2 little ones on my lap, and I don't have any hands to play, I'll just, like, stare at the screen and will just watch my character stand there for hours. When I
that,
don't have hands.
that's when you wish that your characters would actually sit there and do something like the old Sonic the Hedgehog games where Sonic just sat there and he would sit there, and if you sat there long enough, he'd sit there and turn to the screen and start tapping his foot with his arms crossed. He's sitting there tapping, impatient.
Yeah, I like those little things that they add in there when they're waiting a long time.
Hmm. Some of the modern games on Xbox, I forgot what game it was, but the the characters would start having comments if you just stood there too long.
I like that.
Starfield actually has a thing in there where if you're in a conversation and you step away for a minute, the person you're talking to will actually start talking like, "Uh, are we still continuing this? You got anything else to say?" They'll start saying stuff like that if you sit there for too long.
That's so much fun. The Last of Us had some stuff like that in there too. Ellie would talk some crap or get, annoyed because she's like a teenager. She can't sit
Of
still or
course.
something. So, yeah. Or, there are some where she'll stop and read her joke book, no pun intended, volume 2. And she'll take a minute and just read out of her joke book, and that's where you get some of the best commentary. I love those jokes.
Nice. All right. So, how about we jump into this? Because there's a lot of sections to this topic.
Let's do it.
All right. So, I brought up in Discord. Well, I don't think I actually asked in Discord. I asked Mossy directly. And I was like, "What would you think of of a topic where we discuss community-driven lore? Some of it can be your take on the lore. It would be considered fan fiction because it's your character's background when you develop the character or how you're interpreting things have happened or whatnot in the game. There was a big topic about it in our Starfield general discussion, uh, where Slative, however you say his name, had this whole idea of, let's see, it's this whole idea of what different things mean. And he started talking about the NASA mission and how the vision upon touching an artifact you've already seen as version of yourself as a starborn or whatnot. And it's his take on how it is. And I've seen stuff like that in Discord just take off. And turn out that some of the devs at times when stuff like that happens, they go with it. There's some lore with uh Elite Dangerous, where they do community goals and then they make in-game news articles about the effects of the goals of the pilots from the Pilots Federation, which all players are a part of the Pilots Federation for the purposes of the game. So everybody gets involved in stuff like that. In this case, when I say community-driven lore, what do you think I'm talking about?
I have no idea. I don't know. Like, does it mean I mean, I would just be guessing. I have no clue.
Your interpretation.
Mm, like it sounds like the players, the audience is driving the story in some way.
In many cases, it's collective storytelling, just like that. It's in some way they're telling the story in the game, and it's being recognized in the game. So, community-driven lore is the collective history, myths, traditions, discoveries, and shared experiences created by games players that become inseparable from the world itself. And I'll give a few examples of these a little bit later on. Um, And a lot of times developers will watch how players are playing the game, and they will, and I've seen it several times. They'll sit there and acknowledge how the players are playing the game and actually reference that in the official lore of the game as well.
Oh,
Uh,
that's neat.
mhm. And lore should be something that's not just something written down. It should be something that is remembered from the game. Like some of the best lore in Starfield is finding the stories about different bases. There's a point of interest in Starfield where it's a robotic factory, and the story of that is it's the owner, manager, whatever you want to call him, is so corrupt. He starts getting all these robots working for him and starts laying off all the humans, and then the robots turn on him. So uh, it's stuff like that that's really memorable. Now that's story written by Bethesda for the game. It's one of the point of interest, but it can get interesting. Um, Growing up, when you played a video game, though, it was mostly a one-way conversation. The devs created the game, had the story. The writers wrote out a story, whether it was good or bad is up to interpretation, depending on the player, but they wrote out the story and you lived in that story. And a lot of times that's what makes games fun, is just living in that story.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm used to, and I've got no problem with that. I feel like it would go in too many different directions if it was like if it was based off the whim of the audience and kind of like you get to see a lot of the commentary with the storyline coming out and people giving their 2 cents on it, and I'm kind of most of the time I'm really relieved that it's in the hands of just the creators.
I've seen some pretty good stories, but if you think about it, you play Icarus, you play Conan, um, Valheim, and Sons of the Forest, and all them. They have a very, very broad story.
Yeah.
It's a very broad. You're technically writing your own story when you play the game.
Okay, yeah. Is that like what that means then?
Somewhat, yeah. If you'll see a lot of players sit there. I don't want to go too far into it, but uh, massive space battles where players are sitting here playing Eve Online, and uh, you have all these factions going to war. You have World of Warcraft where you'll get all these big raid groups going together and doing their thing, or bugs that they're spreading everywhere. Um, but we will we'll get to those examples because there's a whole section in this topic about those examples.
Okay.
All right, so When does the player's story become part of the world's lore? And I'm talking about anytime you're playing the game. So, like MMOs. I see it. I saw it a lot with, and this is where I get a little iffy on this topic a little bit because your player's story, the player story for your character becomes part of Star Wars The Old Republic's lore because it is the story of your character in the wide arc of the story of the game. And your choices have impacts on that part of the game. To me, I don't know how to answer that question though, because actually I do know how to answer that question. So WoW, think of it this way in WoW. What is Can you name off of any of the really big guilds that WoW was known for?
Um, just the ones that come to mind, their names are not appropriate to mention.
So that's one of them is famous guilds that are well known in the games. A lot of times they become part of the game's lore. Leroy Jenkins.
Hey, I got a bracelet of him.
uh, he's in the his story has become part of the world's WoW's lore. Stuff like that. You see it a lot in
Oh,
MMOs, I think.
that's pretty cool. Kind of like, didn't they also put one of Robin Williams' characters in there?
Mm-hmm. Made him a NPC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they do that for certain people. I think there was a kid who um avid WoW player and lost his battle with cancer and they kind of memorialized him in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's another one in Starfield where when you go to the eye, if you go to the right when you first get in, you run all the way down, you'll find a data slate with a note from a kid that was really hoping that game would be released before the cancer took him. And unfortunately, he lost his battle before the game released. And they memorialized him in the game by adding that data slate. So he became part of the lore of the game.
Aw. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. So is that like more along the lines of what that is then for
Yeah,
community
it's
driven?
some of it. Yeah, so famous guilds, server legends, famous PvP wars, player memorials, stuff that wasn't originally part of the story of the game. Uh, like Elite Dangerous, they created a planet called Vulcan, and they put a space station around it called Leonard Nimoy Station. Uh, that wasn't something that was in the game originally. That was something they added after he passed away. So it's and in game, my character's home base outside of New California and uh what is it? The Ida Eridani system. I have a I use Leonard Nimoy Station a lot. It's not my same faction, but because it's a beautiful station, it's Leonard Nimoy, and then I start my story for my character out right there. That's his home base. He moved out there when he left Earth and became a pilot. Uh, so it's stuff like that. There's all sorts of memorials. There's all sorts of PvP wars. Uh, Back in the day, a lot games like Star Wars Galaxies also did a lot of uh, community lore because you could create your own cities on these planets, and then you could have battles between the Republic and the Empire around these cities, and they'd be memorialized by other cities in the game and stuff like that. And it's stuff like big things like that is what I'm talking about when I say community driven lore.
That's pretty
Uh,
cool.
some things in Discord, unless it translates or the developer pays attention to a Discord conversation and puts it in the game, some headcanon can work. But sometimes it's more entertaining to me when the devs recognize it.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I do like that aspect of it. It seems like what you're describing kind of makes me think of D&D, how there's a lot of that where you can put your own background and your
Mm-hmm.
character, and that matters a lot with how you play the game. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where my mind goes. I'm trying to relate
That
here.
player narration is a lot of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, who actually keeps track of MMO histories? Wikis do, Reddit does, YouTube documentaries do, Discord, veteran players. Many developers don't preserve the history of what happens in a game. A lot of what is remembered is done by the communities, like WoW and EverQuest and um, Star Wars Galaxies. All these games that have a lot that you can do in the game and where there's a lot of interactions. You could probably Google 5 or 6 top MMO events and find wikis on them easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when I'm talking about all of this stuff, when does the developers actually, and I've mentioned it a few times, when does the developer actually embrace what the community is doing? One of them, the first example I put in here is funny to me just because they embraced the market, real world market, and the community on top of what the community does. And it's Final Fantasy 14. When the original version, you know about the original how it's 2 different versions of Final Fantasy 14, do you?
No, I stopped keeping track after 10-2.
All right, so Final Fantasy 14 originally released in 2010, and it was a colossal failure. So the director, Naoki Yoshida, decided to completely rewrite the game from the ground up and rebuild the entire game. In the final weeks before they shut down the servers, players aggressively banded together to defend the game's cities from invading Imperial armies and GM spawned monsters as one of this major, massive hoorah moments in the game.
Wow. That's awesome.
I know, right? They gathered in massive crowds, praying for salvation as a red moon, Dalmud, slowly descended from the sky. What the devs did is they took the apocalyptic server shutdown, because that's an epic way to end a server. It's just massive fighting until everything's destroyed, and then they kill the power to the server. What they called it the 7th Umbral Calamity, the foundational historical event of A Realm Reborn. So Final Fantasy 14, the new release, was called A Realm Reborn.
Okay.
They did the whole thing. So the players who stayed until the final second are canonically recognized as the original Warriors of Light. If you play on an account that survived the 1.0 era, NPCs uniquely recognize your specific character in cutscenes, remembering that you were saved from the blast by a time travel spell. So that's the most epic thing that I one of the most epic things I've heard of a developer doing is recognizing people that stayed in the game until the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then when they re-released it, if you use that same character, or when they brought it back up and you use that same character, they recognize you in that game.
Wow.
See, that's what I mean by community-driven lore.
That's pretty cool. Honestly, like that makes me want to try out that game now.
It's actually not a bad game. I highly recommend playing it if you've never played it, especially if you like Final Fantasy series, because
But yeah.
it's an action MMORPG. So it's not turn-based combat like Baldur's Gate or anything like that. And it's about you making contact and all that stuff, and you unlock your spells. One of the few games I'll actually play a healer in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I actually
That's
have a
pretty
white
cool.
mage that's last time I played was she or he, I don't remember what it was, is level 30.
What's
Let's
max
see.
level?
Hmm?
What's max level in there?
I don't remember. I haven't played in a while. So EVE Online is another one that has a big event that was recognized. Do you remember any of the articles about EVE Online and its wars?
No, I don't. I never played that game, but I have heard about it. Like I've heard a lot about it, like in like game news. I remember them making some big announcements, but I was like not into the game yet, so I didn't want to hear
Mhm.
it.
So there's uh the developer routinely writes player-led wars and major assassinations into our official chronicles. Like there was this huge war. Let me look it up real quick. Biggest battle. So the largest battle in EVE Online by player participation is the Fury at FWST-8 in October 2020. It set a Guinness World Record of 8,825 total players, 6,557 concurrent participants. However, the massacre at M2XFE in December 2020 was the largest and costliest destruction heavy Titan clash. And both of these are recognized in game. So the significance of the first one I mentioned was it was officially certified as a Guinness World Record and as the largest multiplayer PvP battle in video game history. And then the next one, so Titan class super capital ships are expensive in real world money. So this one was recognized everywhere. The battle of the massacre at M2XFE. It had over 5,000 players. It went from December 31st, 2020 to January 1st, 2021. Out of 1,304 Titan class super capital ships, 257 of them were destroyed, and the real world cost was estimated at roughly 378,012 US dollars in game asset value.
My goodness,
Yeah. And then
that's crazy.
I know, right? And then the historical landmark, which is also mentioned, is the bloodbath of BR5RB. It went from January 27th through 28th in 2014. It had over 7,500 players and it totaled over 21 hours. Real world cost was between 300,000, 330,000 US dollars. This was the original massive conflict that put EVE Online's catastrophic ship losses on the global map. And they actually do write that into their games, uh, into the official chronicles of that game.
My goodness. No wonder I had a lot of people telling me to give it a try. This is, now that sounds crazy fun.
Yeah, and uh, I've heard of stories of where people would infiltrate other corporations and go in and assassinate the leaders of those other corporations and stuff.
My
It's
gosh.
actually, I know, it's actually out of all the games I've ever read about, played, because I have played EVE Online, never got really far, but I have played it. Um, it is one with the most intrigue built into the game that people have done that I've ever seen. And it's really cool.
Gosh, I have got to try these games. I'm gonna write all these down that we're talking about in this episode so I can give them a try.
You know the WoW plague, right?
The WoW plague.
The corrupted blood.
I know that that hit before I started playing, before I got my own account, but I did hear about it. I didn't get to participate in it.
Yeah, it's for those who haven't heard us talk about it before on our channel. It's now officially documented as in universe as a biological disaster used to study how magical plagues spread. Uh, the significance of this one was there was a bug back in one of the raid bosses. You fought the when a hunter fought the boss, and then they put their pet away if it was infected with the uh, corrupted blood. They could pull it back out outside of the raid, and it would still be infected, and then the pets would spread it. And what was cool about this is you had some people trying to quarantine the infected. You had some trying to heal them. And then you had some trying to and purposely spread it everywhere. And actual scientists use this to see how plagues would spread in real life because that's how people would operate. It's the way it contracted and stuff gave them a good idea on how stuff would spread. And it was really cool. But that's something that WoW had a real world effect on. But
Dude, that's scary.
yeah, but because people would do that with that bug, they would go around and intentionally infect people, or people would try healing it, and WoW recognized it. That's more community driven lore.
That's scary because it's chillingly accurate to how the world reacted to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of different reactions like that. Like you had some people being, douches about it, where they would
Mm-hmm.
like purposely cough on people, and I'm
Of
like,
course.
yeah, those type, right? And then you'd see those kind of people in the game participating in one way or another, either trying to help um
Yeah.
or something. But it's crazy how it was like a foreshadowing of, you know,
Oh
big events and human nature.
yeah. Halo 2 also has one that was recognized in game. So there was a glitch. I can't remember how the trick jump glitch actually worked, but in Halo 2, you could do a series of things, make yourself jump, get out of the map. Halo 3 ODST made it part of Halo lore. Halo 3 ODST audio logs details how an ODST executes a trick jump exactly like how the community's glitch worked, heavily noting how the soldier broke the physics of the city to escape. Yeah, and they actually recognize that in audio logs, which is really.
That is really neat.
Mm-hmm. And then the final one I got listed on here is Destiny 2's Quarters of Time event. The community effort was so massive and deeply coordinated that Bungie later immortalized the event by placing a permanent in-game memorial and lore entry dedicated to the players' collective dedication in deciphering the timeline.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Oh, yeah. And WoW also, I think WoW has one where the community had to work together to open a gate that's been immortalized. Uh, like I said, Elite Dangerous does it a lot of the time. They'll take the community goals, or if somebody finds something that hasn't a story piece that hasn't been found in game, and they go and find it, then there's a news article that goes out in game about how a pilot found something and they recognize that pilot.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And you see it more in MMOs than you do in non MMOs, because non MMOs are more headcanon stuff outside of the actual story written by developers. So I kind of like it when MMOs or game developers recognize stuff players are doing.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, I
And
prefer that.
yeah. And I don't think I put a question in here that says, can an MMO still succeed if only developer tells developer written stories? Uh, in a way, I don't think it can, because I named off a few things that were recognized around the world as major war events in the game now, like the Corrupted Blood Plague, EVE Online's massive battles that they always have. Uh, Final Fantasy 14, though, when I read that one, that was like the ultimate. That was just like the ultimate thing. I've seen devs give founder titles and stuff to players who uh, pre-ordered games and stuff, but I've never seen one where they actually wrote NPC dialogue to account for players who were part of a shutdown for a rebirth of the game.
Okay, yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. So, uh, and I think, and I want your feedback on this one. I think, let me ask this question first. Who do you think tells the better stories? The developers or the communities that participate and expand the stories?
I'm going with the developers. Like there is some stories that I've absolutely loved. And I feel like the the more influence the community has on the actual storyline, I feel like they're losing their way and I start to lose interest. I feel like that's what's happening to World of Warcraft right now. And it's kind of making me lose interest after all these years. I'm not appreciating the direction it's going, and I feel like it's being pulled in too many different directions because of that. But I don't know. That's in the hands of a major corporation now, so I guess that doesn't really count, eh?
Yeah.
But
Uh,
then there's stories like The Last of Us where I'm like in love with it. Like I'm like, please don't change it at all.
True. Uh, to me, in my opinion, I think it has to be a combination of both, especially in MMOs. Uh, because if devs actually pay attention to the game and what's happening to the game enough to acknowledge what the community's doing and adding it into the lore of the game, or even the single player games where the dev watches what a lot of people are talking about, how they're doing certain things, or uh, they're existing in their world by doing certain things, and then they acknowledge it. That helps, in my opinion, because you got the devs actually listening and paying attention to what players are doing and recognizing those things. And to me, as a player, I really appreciate things like that.
See that? Like I feel like that would help players feel more involved in the story and get more immersed in it. Like when they're acknowledged and their lives are acknowledged in the game.
Hmm.
Like that's a really cool aspect that I think would help um, participation and immersion. I also think it sounds like such a slippery slope, though. I got to say, some of the loudest people are not the majority always, and I don't know, like
Well, in that case, you don't have to be the loudest people. Pay attention to what the quietest people are doing. What is your average player? Not your loudest player, but what is your average player doing? All right, cool. The average player is not going to sit there and jump into a game right before the server shut down and start defending the cities until the moons uh, fall from the skies and destroy the planets. Uh, Sometimes that's just the hardcore gamers. Um, the average player is not going to sit there and fork out hundreds or thousands of dollars on ships in game just so they can potentially lose them after they get blown up.
Yeah, it's nice when they actually pay attention what people are doing, other
Mhm.
than like the loud few. Because I feel like that's kind of what's ruined World of Warcraft, and we're going in this really weird direction that I feel like is not. It doesn't feel like, first of all, canon, and second of all, it just doesn't feel like the World of Warcraft. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. They have you agree before you start the game now. It's like they make you agree to play nice and be respectful of each other's feelings in the World of Warcraft. Like, okay, why? This is war, man. Like, what are what are we doing? What is this turning into? This like politically correct war,
So,
and it's just weird the way this direction's going. And then I think that's entirely because of the loud few.
in that case, I will say the base chat in WoW has gotten ridiculous on the conversations they have in there. Um, but I'm sorry, if you're in PvP and you're fighting people and you're talking, for lack of a better term, you're talking shit to people. Yeah, if you're in PvP, you're fighting each other in a game. Of course, you're going to talk crap to people. But just out of spite, just being like that in general chat when everybody's just playing the game, I can see where they want to cut back on people being like that in general chat. If it is obviously you're role playing a character, which I've seen too many people in WoW's chat not role playing characters. Um, if you're role playing a character and that's how you've always been role playing the character, and I open up your character and inspect them, and you have a little biography that tells your character is pretty much like that. All right, cool. That's your character. But it's like
I
I
see
can see
what you
why they're
mean.
doing that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're taking it too far if they're really making you be nice to everybody.
Well, there's a lot more player restrictions and stuff that you can say, stuff that you can't say. They've changed certain things on the menu that are more gender neutral, and it's they're you can tell like they're trying really hard to tiptoe around everybody's preferences, and it's it gets to be a bit much if you're trying to please everyone. You can't please everyone, kind of a thing. And now you're starting to take away from the game. You're pulling and you're forcing it in this different direction, I feel like, and we're kind of losing the purpose now. You know,
It's a, I don't want to turn this into a political debate or a political topic, but it's the same thing where with D&D, you're seeing a lot of, uh, I have a lot of friends that play D&D and we've had topics about this. Like, dude, some of the best stories I've read about or read that were novels of the Drizzt series, for example, from Forgotten Realms. It's dark elves are the drow. They have a certain way they are. Um, in most cases, they're evil and whatnot. But Driz goes against the stereotypes of his people. He goes the opposite direction. He tries being good, but he's having to overcome the prejudice of his people because of how they typically are. And I think pulling those aspects of characters out of a character's background or a race's background, um, that's just ridiculous. They're stereotypes of the races for a reason, and making it where you can play a character that goes against the stereotypes, one that embraces the stereotypes but overcomes them over time. It gives her better storytelling, and
agreed.
catering to everybody to make it where you pull all that stuff out of a game to make everybody happy. To me, I'm not a fan. Uh, And a lot of my friends who play D&D are not a fan that they're doing that to the races.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree. Like I don't want things to get political in my video games. That's why I play the game in the first place. It's to get away from all the noise and all the mess.
Mhm.
To that thought, I was just like, I don't like it when politics get involved in my games. I want all of that out. I go into this universe to escape all of that nonsense in the real world, all the political drama that I don't want to think about. And I just want to play the game. Like, just let me play the game. Stop involving all that outside drama in my game. Like, leave it
Mhm.
out. And I feel like that's kind of the direction a lot of the audience base kind of tends to drag it in. And that's why I'm like, it could be a slippery slope when you know,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, a
um,
lot of people play video games to get away from everyday life. I will play a game that has political intrigue in the game. I've played a few.
yeah,
Uh,
as long as it's like in the universe of that place, like I don't mind Star Wars political drama. That's fun.
it's
you
different.
know,
Game of
yeah.
Thrones political drama from
Oh,
because there is a Song of Ice and Fire role playing game. And I've played it and a tabletop RPG, and I've played it, and
awesome.
yeah, it's that universe. You cannot play in that universe without political intrigue because that is part of the story.
Right. Yeah. See, that I don't mind because it is part of the story. It's part of that universe.
Hmm.
I don't want to get reminded of my universe while I'm
Yeah.
in there.
So orcs are tribal and aggressive in most cases. Having a character that is not aggressive but still worships a tribe, or one that shuns his tribe for and wants to be, they're not aggressive enough. All right, cool. That's more interesting story. And if you role play the character in the game and it fits that narrative of the character and you've described that in your character's bio, cool. Don't force me to not role play my characters in a role playing game. One of the things, so you've heard me and my guild TCO playing. You've seen us. I've streamed it before multiple times, playing Ordered Rings online, and what was it? We got into a discussion about something, and we were talking about it. What was it? Uh, man, I just lost my train of thought. And I can't remember what I was going to bring up now. Uh, so we were playing Lord of the Rings, and we discuss it all the time. Oh, you're on a role playing server. It's marked as a role playing server. Your character's name should be a legitimate name, not some of these names I can't mention on a PG-13 channel.
I see your point. Yeah.
Yeah, and the role playing server we're on, people are doing that, and to me, one of the issues I have is people have gone away from embracing role playing in a game. That when I actually see it happening, I embrace it. Star Trek Online, I went into Quark's bar on DS9 with my captain and sat at a bar because they were role playing somebody working behind the bar being a bartender.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love that.
and just sitting there talking with other people in the bar, and it's like, this is relaxing.
It can be. Yes. Yeah. I don't know where we're going these days and it's I don't know. We need to bring it back. We got to bring it back, man.
The
It's
definition
more
of role playing,
enjoyable.
the definition of role playing game is changing significantly to where you're just a character filling a role and not you're living in the world. Um, Luckily, I play a lot of older games where people still honor the role playing aspect of it and where you can find people role playing stuff. So,
Yeah. I have so much more fun when people like really get into it.
mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So this was going to be a little bit shorter. I want to try something. So, we're not going to have a full hour long episode. Uh, mainly because I want to sneeze. So yeah, I want to thank Rabbit for joining us again.
Yeah, thank you for
Being
having
our
me.
Oh, it's great. You're a wonderful host, and hopefully you can join us when Archon's back and we have a 3-person episode.
Yeah.
Or next time Mossy's on, we all just get on and talk.
Yeah, I would love that because I mean, some of these topics are I don't feel very knowledgeable. I'm like, oh, I wish Archon was here, or I wish Mossy was here and kind of help me out in the topic, like especially when we talk about WoW. And I'm like, oh, I wish Archon was here to join in on this. And
Yeah, because you and Archon would talk a lot about WoW.
I bet that would be so much fun. I hope he comes back soon. I really miss that guy.
I think we all do.
Yeah, we're all a little Archon homesick right now.
Archon, come back! I wonder if he actually listens to these.
I wonder. Like, I'm sure eventually he will.
Well, right now, me and him are stuck in a Dungeon Crawler Carl kick. I'm on books. I'm near the end of book 6. He's in the middle of book 7. So I highly recommend, if you get time to listen to audiobooks, pick it up, listen to it, because it's funny, and it makes you think, because there's times in this book series where if I was thrown in that same situation, what would I do? It's considered a lit RPG, a literary RPG. So if you've seen anime and stuff where they're talking about how they can see their stats and all that, and they feel like they're in a video game inside the anime, that's what it is. They're in this game show where they can see their stats and stuff, but everything in the Earth has been collected, and now the survivors of the collection of Earth have gone into this dungeon to try to reclaim Earth. If somebody completes the 18th floor of the dungeon, then they can I forgot the words they use, but they can make Earth its own sovereign place again.
Oh, that's interesting.
But while they're in the dungeon that's controlled by an AI and a corporation, they get powers, can change their race, get stronger, all that good stuff. And it's really fun. They do a really good job. One of my favorite characters is Donut. She's a cat, a show cat that went in, got a pet treat that made her, and then it made her sentient.
Oh,
Yeah. It's really interesting. So I highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't read it, or
can't be
you.
me.
I highly recommend for you to read it because it's a really good book series.
This sounds interesting. I might have to check it out.
Oh, yeah, me and Archon, 2 thumbs up. Mongo gives it a claw up.
Oh.
Mongo is Donut's pet, and he's a true-ish to form velociraptor. So he starts off as this little chicken-sized dinosaur with the big hook claw and all that, and he gets up to where I think he comes up to the waist of Carl, but I don't remember the exact size. But he gets up there to where Donut can ride him as a mount.
Cute. Oh my gosh.
And her favorite phrase, instead of saying she doesn't like something, she goes, Mongo is appalled. Or Mongo will be sad, or something like that.
No, that reminds me of my toddler. He's just starting to talk. He's putting words together, getting sentences together, just like that. Very similar.
But yeah, I highly recommend that book series. Especially, so there was some backlash from people. I saw on threads. There was some backlash from the announcement of Jeff Hayes being cast as the voice of Donut, a female character, and people who have only read the books and never listened to the audiobooks were all appalled. But then when they heard, and then the people who have listened to the audiobooks are like, dude, you need to listen to how he portrays Donut because it's amazing. He does a really good job. And so far they're doing a live action, and he's been the only person cast so far that I've saw as the voice of Donut.
Okay. I need to get into this. This sounds interesting.
Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, I keep hearing about this now, and yeah, I'm gonna have to dive in.
Yeah. The first book is really funny because he goes in wearing his boxers, and I'll leave it at that. Because if I tell you more about the situation, it actually gives spoilers to the book.
Okay, yeah, no spoilers. My oldest daughter, she's the greatest at spoilers. She'll tell you right away who just dies in the series. Like, hey, before you get attached, just so you know. Like right as you're starting to like the character. Oh yeah, he dies.
Oh, I want to get attached. He dies. So
yeah.
when it comes to spoiling something, the only thing I ever spoiled was I told people don't get attached to characters in Game of Thrones because they're most likely going to die.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gosh, you just don't know who's going in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sad.
So many people get taken out in that series. All right. So I've already thanked you. So if you are listening to the show on YouTube or watching the show on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps us get us out there a little bit more. I know we need to be more consistent on recording times. Work life has been hectic. I think me and Rabbit have figured out a time frame that works for us. So we're going to try doing it more often. And if you are interested, hit us up in our Discord. The link's down in the description below for those listening on podcasts. It is discord.gg/raw podcasts. I talk in there a lot. Mossy's active in there. War Makaida's active in there. There's a few people, Nikki Z, he's active in there. There's a few people that are active in there on a regular basis. I always have my Discord up while I'm gaming or on my phone. So if you message, I will respond. Same with Archon. If you hit up and you tag Archon, and I will respond. Rabbit's in there as well if you want to talk to her. So yeah, hit us up. We love the conversations, and we're always open to feedback from the show. You can leave them in the comments below, or you can hit us up on our Discord. I'll take feedback. I'll take content ideas. What you think about something way off the wall, I might bring that up in a later episode. Never know. Anyhow, I want to thank everybody for listening, and y'all have a good night.